Okay, so I am recording. We're going to the Freud reading. Just as a review, you have to know the 3 types of methods to get to your id, to get to your conflicts in your id, and that's free association, dream interpretation, and Freudian slips. Questions on these? Questions on these? Okay, then id, ego, superego. Make sure you watch the videos. The videos also talk about this. Your id is your devil, right? What you really want, and it's in the unconscious. Your superego was created by society, culture, religion, values. Your superego constantly is trying to make you do the right thing per what society says. Your ego manages your id and superego's conflicts. Questions. When we watch the movie, I want to start the movie Elf next time you're back. You need to pick a couple examples of either Elf or the father. And you'll need, I don't know if Elf has an id. He doesn't have anything that's dark about him. But you would take an example and then you would explain his personality through id's ego, superego, right? And or you can include defense mechanisms. Does he use a defense mechanism in this example? Questions? So you also need to know when there's anxiety between the id and the superego, and the ego is not able to resolve it, anxiety happens, according to Freud, which leads to the defense mechanisms. And the 4 that are on the test are, besides the definition of defense mechanisms, according to Freud, are rationalization, denial, repression, and projection. Got it? Then we do not cover any of the, there's a whole nother part of Freud about developmental stages. If you go to college and learn about Freud, it'll be on there. I am not covering that. So then we go over to this one, social cognitive. You were supposed to do some of this today. The flaw of social cognitive theory is it's like everything. There's nothing specific. I can tell you Freud's id, ego, superego, even though we don't practice it anymore. We don't talk, that's not, id, ego, superego is not science, but it's simple. I can explain it to you. Social cognitive is you name it, it falls under social cognitive. So look at the definition. Personality development is shaped by the environment, cognitive personal factors, and behavior, which all interact to influence how we evaluate, interpret, organize, and apply information. That's everything. You are who you are because of your environment, your family, your friends, your church, your schools, everything. It's also your biology, your genetics. It's how you think, your behaviors, you name it. Everything makes you who you are. So it's very general. So we have your cognitive factor, your beliefs, your values, your intentions, your social roles, your personal factors, which is your emotional makeup and your biology, genetics. It's your environment, your behavior. Everything makes you who you are. So if you're looking at me like I don't get it, yeah, that's my point. Everything is who you are. You name it, it all is your personality, or creates your personality. So instead of looking at it, you can't really look at social cognitive and define people by social cognitive. You have to look at specific parts of social cognitive to define who people are. Specific parts. And the parts we're going to talk about, or you have to know, is locus of control, delay of gratification, and self-efficacy. Okay, those are the 3. And here, this evaluation, the criticism is that it's It's too much. It's too general. So we'll talk about the 3 specifics. So when I ask you to give an example on ALF, the movie, on what social cognitive is, you do locus of control, delay of gratification, self-efficacy. Does that make sense? You are supposed to watch the marshmallow, delay of gratification. Does that ring a bell? Thank you. Anybody else who watched it? Okay, delayed gratification refers to voluntary postponing an immediate reward and continuing to complete some task with the promise of a future reward. The traditional view of delayed gratification is this. People who have it, who are good at it, are more successful. If you can delay what you want now so that you can have more later, you will have more success. And it's intrinsic. Some people just have better delay of gratification. Okay? Make sure you watch the marshmallow video if you haven't watched it. Okay? However, this is being turned on its head now in modern times. If you, for example, come from a family with lots of kids, any of you have a lot of siblings, have you learned that you better get, if there's candy, you better eat it now or it'll be gone later? Anybody know what I'm talking about? Okay. So some scientists, researchers are arguing delayed gratification is really just talking about people with money. If you have money, it's easier to delay gratification because you know you'll get something later. If my mom doesn't let me eat that now, she'll buy it for me later. Whereas people in poverty don't learn, they have to. It's smart to spend that money when you get it because it might not exist later. So there is an argument out there that delayed gratification is really kind of pretentious and rude. To suggest that someone can do something because of an internal ability versus they come from a family, for example, going to college. If you go to college, you're delaying gratification of a paycheck. Does that make sense? And then you get more money later because you went to college. I think modern scientists would argue that it's unfair to judge people as being, not as good or not have a strong personality, this strong characteristic, just because they go from high school right to work. That's not necessarily a flaw in them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. My mom had 5 siblings and she never went to college, but my dad's the only child and he went to college.
Yeah, you're raised in different environments. You have different priorities. It's not just delay of gratification. And so they're oversimplifying people with this terminology and this thinking, and it's rude. You might have to take what you can get when you can get it, and that's survival. Go from there though, and so you need to know delayed gratification. Watch the video. Then let's talk about self-efficacy. Self-efficacy refers to our personal beliefs regarding how capable we are in controlling events and situations in our lives, such as performing or completing specific tasks and behaviors. For example, I think that I am capable of getting a high grade in this course. How many think you're capable of doing well in school? Okay. So how do you know that? That's the question. If you think that you're good at something or can do something, how do you know it? And they give you 4 components. Previous experiences. Did you do well in classes before? How'd you do before? Previous experiences. You compare yourselves to others. How many of you compare yourselves to others when it comes to grades? Of course you do. So that gives you an idea where you stand because you're comparing to people who do better and people who do worse. You listen to what others say. Do other people tell you honestly, like, oh, you could do better if you studied more? Or You have the ability, and you listen and you believe it, and they're giving you real feedback. I'm not talking about like when they tell you're a good singer, but you're awful at it because no one wants to hurt your feelings. They're giving you real ones. And then finally, you use feedback from your body to assess your strengths, vulnerability, and capability. So you feel physically, um, and you listen to yourself. You would have strong self-efficacy for getting good grades if you have had previous success with getting high grades, if you believe you are as academically capable of others, if your friends say you are smart, and if you do not become too stressed during exams. Got it? So finally, we have delayed gratification, self-efficacy, and then finally locus of control. Note in the definition, there is internal locus of control and external locus of control. So I'm going to put a quiz online for you to take right now, and then we'll go back to the notes. Okay, so to end this, read about locus of control. The link to the quiz does not work, according to my students. They're in the classroom. And then move on to taking the personality quizzes right here. Ocean personality quiz, personality pick right here. And then finish up by doing the book reading for trait theory. And that's what we're ending the day on.